With over 1,000 studies being done on creatine, it's scientifically proven to be an effective and safe supplement to help you build stronger and bigger muscles. But science also reveals that there's a specific way to use it to maximize its benefits and save you money while you're at it. Today, I'll show you how to do just that in 4 easy steps. Before we dive into step 1, let's first briefly discuss what creatine is and how it can help you build more muscle and strength. So creatine is a substance that we naturally produce and use up as an energy source to power our muscles through the first 10 seconds or so of high intensity activities such as sprints or tough set of bench press. When we supplement with creatine, we can increase our natural creatine levels by about 30%. This increase, if maintained through consistent supplementation, has been shown to provide a significant boost in power and strength during our workouts, which over time has been shown to translate to significantly greater muscle growth. It's effective and it works, but it's also very easy to waste a bunch of money on it without fully reaping its benefits. The first step to avoiding that is to make sure that you pick the right type of creatine. Walk into a supplement store and you'll be recommended all sorts of fancy forms of creatine that are supposed to boost absorption or provide some kind of enhanced effect. But what does research say? There's been some new contenders in the market. Luckily, a 2021 systematic review was recently published that analyzed 8 different forms of creatine to determine which was most effective. As you can see in the following table, the researchers also broke down the cost per serving for the different forms of creatine, with creatine monohydrate being the cheapest, with buffered creatine costing almost 8 times as much. Of the 8, which came out on top? Well, it turns out they all work just as effectively at boosting muscle creatine levels, which makes sense. Plain old creatine monohydrate has no problems with absorption, nor does it cause any notable effects that a more costly alternative would be solving. These alternatives still exist in the market, however, because companies try to one-up their competitors by claiming to have a proprietary formula that makes it seem like they're more effective than others who just sell a single ingredient, cheaper form of creatine. Because of this, they can charge more of a premium for their product. But their fancy forms have not beaten out plain old creatine monohydrate regardless of what their marketing tries to convince you. So, given that you could save over $1 every single day from sticking to plain old creatine monohydrate, save your money and stick to that. You can easily tell if you're picking the right choice if you look at the nutritional label and the only ingredient shown is creatine monohydrate. Alright, so after you've picked up your creatine monohydrate, the next step you want to get right is how much to take, as it does seem there's a lower limit that you'll want to meet. For example, one study on female swimmers showed that 2 grams per day of creatine monohydrate supplementation for 6 months failed to improve their performance. Similarly, another study showed that 1 gram per day of supplementation for a full year failed to improve muscle function or lean mass, meaning that 1 to 2 grams per day is likely too low of a dose. However, the typical dose of 5 grams per day, which is also the standard scoop size for most creatine products, may actually be overkill. Illustrating this is a 2018 paper that compared the effects of supplementing with either 3 grams or 5 grams of creatine monohydrate per day. When compared to the placebo, both groups experienced significant increases in strength. And based on the results, the researchers suggest that 3 grams per day is a sufficient dose for most lifters. And if you crunch the numbers, it makes sense, given that studies have shown a significant improvement in performance from dosages of around 0.03 grams per kilogram per day. So for a 170-pound individual, that amounts to just 2.3 grams of creatine per day, which is less than half of the often recommended 5-gram scoop size, and would mean that your tub of 30 servings of creatine would last you 2 months instead of just 1. Now, with that being said, when you first start taking creatine, you may actually want to consider bumping up the dose far above this. This is where step 3 comes into play. So after you start taking creatine, it takes time for your creatine levels in your muscles to gradually increase and fully saturate. It doesn't happen overnight, and in fact, often takes a couple weeks to significantly increase. Depending on how fast you like to experience the effects of creatine though, there's 2 protocols you can use. The loading protocol is a method that helps you saturate your muscles with creatine as fast as possible so that you can start reaping the benefits right away. This involves taking 5 grams of creatine 4 times per day to get a total of 20 grams per day. You repeat this for about 7 days to elevate your creatine stores, and then afterwards drop down to just 3 grams per day as we previously talked about in order to now maintain your elevated creatine stores. In contrast, the non-loading protocol is a method that gradually increases your creatine stores. In this case, you simply stick to 3 grams per day from the start. This protocol will typically take about 3 to 4 weeks before you start experiencing the benefits of supplementation.